When the Apostle Paul writes to the churches that he planted and is working with, he frequently alludes to the metaphor that God is the potter and we are the clay. He says that we are his workmanship. And that's a very important metaphor to understand. Of course, Paul, being being an expert in the law and an expert in what we call the Old Testament, the Jewish scriptures, was certainly familiar with the very well-known passage among the Jews of Jeremiah 18. Let me just read it, beginning in verse 1. This is the word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Go down to the potter's house, and there I will give you a message. So I went down to the potter's house, and I saw him. I watched him working at the wheel. Now, I want to point out here, the only thing Jeremiah does in this whole thing is he watches the potter handling the clay. That's all he does, all right? So I went down, and I saw him working at the wheel. But the pot he was shaping from clay was marred in his hands. So the potter formed it differently into another pot, shaping it as it seemed best to him. The potter was in charge of doing this. Then the word of the Lord came. Now, Jeremiah hasn't done anything but watched the potter handling the clay. Then the word of the Lord came to me. He said, can I not do with you, O Israel, as this potter does, declares the Lord? Like clay in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand, O Israel. Now, Paul alludes to this several times during his writings, that we are as clay in the hand of a potter. Now, a couple of things that I want to point out, and then we'll go on a little bit farther in the next video. Reading this story, all Jeremiah saw, and this was all he needed to see, was a potter setting at a wheel, an old-fashioned wheel way back in the BC time of history, long before any modern conveniences. And the potter is handling the clay. And then the word of the Lord comes clear. I'm the one who handles you, shapes you, and forms you. And any problems along the way, I'll fix. Can I not be to you? Oh, my friend, if you've become a child of the King, if you have put your faith in Jesus, born again, Jesus came to live inside of you. He did. Whether we believe the fullness of that or not, we should be growing in our understanding. He's in there by his Spirit. He is dwelling in us. We are a temple of the Holy Spirit. And the worker is working on us. We're the material. We are the workmanship. And the potter is working on us. And you know what? There's so much complicated teaching out there, deeper teaching, as some will say. And I believe most of them are sincere, but I'm sorry. This thing is not supposed to be deeper and more complicated. This is simple. This is simple, my friend. You say, well, I don't know much about the Bible. Hey, neither did they. They didn't have Bibles to carry around. The Bible was not completed yet, and they didn't even know that these letters were the Bible. But what they had was Christ living in them, the presence of the Holy Spirit within them, and brothers and sisters who were encouraging them, look to Jesus, rest in Jesus, put your faith in Jesus, and let the Spirit of God mold you like clay. He's in charge. You know what? You have one job. Stay on the wheel, because the potter has promised that he will finish what he started. This is Grace Life.